So, Bojana, you moved from Serbia to Australia, and you're only 7 years old, I think.
Mhm.
And then you didn't come to us until year five when you were in year 10. What made your parents put you into McDonald College?
I'm pretty sure that I wasn't doing very well academically in a school that wasn't as creative as McDonald College. I was just not, I wasn't doing well in like a normal school setting. And then I was doing rhythmic gymnastics, and I think they just thought this is the place for you. Like, obviously, I had so much energy. And so then they put me in McDonald College and everything changed. Like even my academic grades changed. I think I was much more focused and could be because obviously 2 hours a day
You're doing
you
something
know,
you loved. Yeah.
I was expressing myself. Yeah, yeah.
So you started in the ballet stream. Well, first of all, when you came to us,
Oh, did I? I think it was dance.
you went to ballet.
No, you made me go to ballet.
Oh, of course I did. Of course. You can thank me later.
That's true. That's true.
So when you came to us, though, you were a national gymnast.
Yeah.
And then how did you sort of use your obvious gymnastic talent to take into dance or to ballet, apart from the flexibility?
I know. Well, but that's all I thought it was. So look, I guess, I guess again, the rhythmic gymnastics was a form of self-expression because it's not kind of as technically based as normal gymnastics.
Mm.
And so I think I already was learning to express myself through movement because we were using music for everything. And, sometimes the music was sad and sometimes the music was happy.
Mm.
And I wasn't that great at it, but I still was like national champion in hoop or came second in hoop or something at nationals um, in another year because I used to just present so convincingly that even if something dropped, no one would notice because my smile was so big or my tears were so large or something like this. And so I think I
You
brought that.
were faking it, basically.
Of course, you fake it till you make it. And then yeah, I think obviously I gained a lot of flexibility. And I think I brought those things into movement and dance and ballet, as you say.
So, coming from Serbia and coming into the Australian schooling system, what was the difference?
I never went to school in Serbia.
Oh,
We left Serbia on my first day. Well, Yugoslavia at the time, but we left Yugoslavia on my first day of school, and I was too traumatized, like that we were leaving, so I just didn't want to go anywhere. So I don't know. I mean,
oh,
I can tell you what the difference is,
yeah.
but the thing is that the McDonald College is such an anomaly even within the Australian education system.
Mhm.
So it's very difficult. I think we're spoiled a little bit, the people that go there from such a young age, because I can't compare it to the rest of the education system. What I can tell you is that on the day that we organized the school walkout against nuclear testing, the McDonald College sent us off, with grace and strength, while Bethlehem Girls was locked into the school and couldn't leave the school because they put chains around the gate. So that's my only kind of comparison, and definitely rather go to the school that, doesn't even close its gates and says to the kids, go, follow your heart, protect the earth, than the school that locks its children into school and says you're not allowed.
How old were you when you decided to rally the troops, so to speak, and take them off to that rally?
Yeah, we organized that protest. So someone sent me a note in class, Micah. She sent me a note in class and said, let's organize a walkout. And she was sort of just bored in class. And I took it really seriously. And I think I was 13. I think I was 13.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then we organized my mother to print, there was no internet. So we organized my mother to print these flyers. And on them it said where the protest was and what was the cause. And then on the bottom it said, don't be intimidated by your school teachers, stand up for what you believe in. And I remember so clearly, Mum printed, they were A4, so she printed two per page at work. And she printed about probably 1,000. And then we went to all the school districts, like and we put them on I guess, on poles that we weren't allowed to put them on. And then we called everyone we knew. And this was, on the phone. Like you would have to call people and ask for them if their parents answered the phone. And then I remember in assembly, I remember Margaret Markham, there was an school assembly, and she said, all right, there's one final thing I want to talk to you about. And she brought out the little flyer and she said, I'm very disappointed in this. And I thought,
Uh-oh.
no. I remember it's the hottest my face has ever been. It's the sweatiest I've ever, like I just turned into a beetroot. I was so red. And I remember she said, not disappointed in the fact that you want to stand up for what you believe, but the fact that down here it says, don't be intimidated by your teachers. Your teachers will support you in this endeavor. And I was like, that's not the point. Like, she makes it so easy to be a rebel. So it was really, but that's definitely one of my highlights. Like one of the highlights of being at the school, I think, is you putting me into ballet and Margaret Markham just completely shifting how I saw her, because you do see, like she was so incredibly well put together, the ballet background. And so you don't think of, someone that's an authority they're going to support this. I mean, it was a school walkout, like, and 3,000 school kids turned up from all over Sydney, and it was amazing. So I really commend the college for that. I thought that was quite an amazing moment for all of us. And we all went. Some people just didn't, like we all, and it wasn't even an excuse not to go to school. It was just really like people were so fired up about this idea of nuclear testing in the ocean and how dare humanity, not humanity, but how dare Jacques Chirac be this way. And, and they were just there was so many people in so many schools, and it was incredible.
Good on you. You were amazing, absolutely.
Well, you guys were amazing.
Well, let's go back to when you were in secondary school.
Yeah.
And you moved to acting. So what made you leave ballet? Because I made you do it probably, and move to acting.
Look, I never thought I was good at ballet, and I never thought I was good at dance, which now, of course, I can see is, like I was absolutely incorrect. And there's so many ways that I could have gone that way too. And but really, this is very much based in what I wanted to do with my life. And I always thought I was going to be a doctor because I always wanted to help people. Right. And I wanted to save the world from war. I mean, this was the bigger picture. And at some point, I think I I was about 10 years old or something, but I thought that in order to become like to save the world, you needed to become a princess, like Princess Diana. And then in order to become a princess, you have to marry a prince. And then I watched a documentary about Grace Kelly. And I kid you not, literally, I thought, okay, she became a princess by becoming an actress, and then a prince got to know who she was. And I was like, that's it. And I remember who was in the house when we were watching it, my mum and her friends. And they were like, that's what you need to do. And I was like, that's what I need to do. And I think the next day or the day after, I was in the acting stream.
Have you found your prince?
Oh, God, no, I'm my own prince.
Yes, you would be a force to be reckoned with, I'm sure.
Yes. Yes, Meghan must move over. I would destroy monarchy. I wouldn't just take one of them.
So you were dux at the college in 1999, I believe, I think.
28.
98 was, yeah, okay. So, I mean, obviously you're a very bright girl. How did you manage during that time of, you were also working professionally too, weren't you? You did Black Rock, I think, professionally.
No, Black Rock was before. I did a film called Strange Fits of Passion in 98 in Melbourne while we were sitting exams in Sydney.
Right.
And also, don't forget, we did Nicholas Nickleby and I played two characters.
That's right. You did. That's right. I've forgotten that.
Let me tell you how I managed it. The acting teacher at that time, Mark, was really, really strict with me and my parents because my parents were trying to get me out of doing the play because there was so many commitments, and and I also did another play that year with a company in an independent company in Sydney. And so they were saying, look, she's got so many commitments outside of school and she's got exams. Can you please help us? And he said, no. He said she needs to, this is her priority. School needs to be her priority. And if she wants my arm in to do all of these extracurricular things, she's going to need to play the two characters that I've set for her in Nicholas Nickleby. It's just like, he's awful. What an awful man. And again, I remember this. I really remember this as a lesson in responsibility towards kind of family. You know, in school, obviously the acting stream was a kind of family. I just mean responsibility towards the people who are closest to you and who are, you know, who are also your biggest supporters. And so I remember that really clearly. I remember just him being like, she can do that and she's going to have to. And then also you guys, and I remember the art teachers, and one of the art teachers was the vice principal at the time, also allowing me to take 3-unit art in my own time because I had so many spare lessons in year 12. And I remember Felicity, myself, we all had a space in the art room. Anyone who was doing 3-unit art had this really beautiful space. And so I would be in the art room, you know, rather than going home or not having anything to do, or, you know, I would just be in the art room all the time. And so I was just constantly stimulated. I know that that's kind of contradictory, but I think just the sense of responsibility towards the school and towards my friends made me just focus in that time.
And
And
I
also,
think you're the sort of person who needs to be busy.
yeah, yeah, I think so too. I think there might have been a diagnosis there that we missed. I don't know.
Who cares?
But
What's the diagnosis? You are who you are. Like,
yeah,
what's the label?
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I totally agree. But I think the school had a major role to play in that. You know, like I don't think it could have been done without such succinct understanding from teachers and authorities at the school who can see what kids can handle. Because I remember the way that the drama stream handled very many different kids and how it was pretty incredible and supportive. It was really interesting.
Yeah, amazing. So looking back on your time at the school, is there a lasting impact? Was it the rally? Was it the AGC? Was it Nicholas Nickleby? Is there one?
Nicholas Nickleby, definitely not. You know, there's the time when Tim Robbins came from the Drama Centre in London and taught us the Stanislavski method better than I've ever learned it since.
Really? Wow.
Right? We had a world-class teaching around like an academic perception of acting. I mean, it's not whether you use that method or not, it doesn't really matter.
Mm.
But honestly, it's not one lasting thing. You know, also I have to say, like, the openness around gender identity, sexual preferences. I mean, all of this stuff I learned from the school. We
Mm.
had completely open dialogue around this, you know.
Mm.
It wasn't taboo. It wasn't taboo
Long
with
before it
teachers.
was sort of politically correct too.
I cannot believe it now that I'm the age that I am,
Mm.
that that there was absolutely no taboo around this stuff. There was as much taboo as, oh my God, he kissed her. You know, it
Mm.
was the same as heteronormative like as if it was heteronormative, you know, there was nothing around it. It was just incredible. And you know, this is so, it changed the way that my parents relate to
Really?
culture. And yes, of course, because I'm coming in without any prejudice into a house that, you know, into a Yugoslavian household that has
Mm.
absolutely no education on this stuff. And so it was absolutely amazing. I mean, that's one thing. Definitely the protest was a highlight. Definitely the plays that we did, like Turgenev and Chekhov. You know, these are like classic plays that actors don't, like, not every professional actor gets to do in their lifetime.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Ballet classes. Definitely my posture and my, you know, my ability to do very physical things in acting has come from the physical training in the modern dance and ballet classes. The friendships, the lack of cliqueiness, but even with the cliqueiness, you know, and just the kids. Like I remember that, like, we were really allowed to be ourselves.
Mhm.
This is incredible.
Mm.
like a school, and also because 2 hours a day, the school fostered our passions. Like it kind of it allowed us to explore the discipline and the freedom of our passions. And
Mm.
that's
Yeah,
unheard of. People balk when I tell them about
really.
it. And I
Yeah,
really think that a huge part of why I do what I do and how I do it and my approach to was fostered at the school. 100%.
yeah, which is amazing. So
Hopefully the city said the same thing.
most do. Many
Yeah.
people have cried
Yeah. Okay.
when I've
Yeah. Okay.
interviewed them, so don't cry.
Okay, I won't.
You're too far away. But probably half the people have got, oh my God, I'm taking me back, and I'm so
Yeah.
emotional about it,
Yeah, it
which
was
is
incredible.
which has been, amazing.
And they're
So
crying because they're old. Tell them to
yeah,
stop. They're
yeah,
just
yeah.
because
Some
they're
of them are
old. They're
younger
just
than you.
young.
Be careful.
I'm-
So you left school and went straight into NIDA. How did you
I
find?
didn't. I had a year off, but yeah.
Okay. So
Mhm.
how did you find that? How did you manage going at such a young age? Because normally they like to have you a little bit older.
Yeah.
Did,
I don't know. I was working while I was at school. I left school and I did Romeo and Juliet with Bell Shakespeare.
mhm.
And yet I still felt like I didn't have an education that I wanted. I got to be honest with you. I had the education at McDonald College. And
Right.
3 years at NIDA kind of showed me that. I just didn't understand. I thought that I would have something bigger and better, and that it would just, and I'm not pooping on NIDA, not at all.
Mhm.
It's just that 2 hours of acting a day is a really big chunk of a
Yeah.
school day.
Let's face
And
it, professional actors don't get that.
no, and we used to put plays together. Like
Mm,
we would do plays without needing to be prompted on our lines
mm,
on 2 hours a day of acting.
mm,
Um, it's amazing.
mm.
And so I don't want to negate NIDA. I think when I was there, NIDA had a lot of issues with administration and, it's all before a certain awareness around propriety with students and between teachers and students, became a thing that was
Yeah,
really
yeah,
cautiously looked at. And so it it just it was great. I don't know. I don't We should just go to the next question and take this
yeah.
out.
Okay. So you work with many different theatre companies in Australia, and of course, I know around the world. So Sydney Theatre Company, Melbourne Theatre Company, Bell Shakespeare, etc., and all those that I don't know about overseas. Do you have a favourite sort of not theatre company, but a favourite role that you've played in these places or a production?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying this because it's you. One of
Oh,
my one of my favorite roles is still the Turgenev. I think her name was Natalia in that we did like when I was in year eight in at McDonald College.
really?
And yeah, yeah. And I remember in the first act I played her and then Sally Stevens played her in the second act. Because we had to divide all the
Yeah.
roles
Yeah.
at that time. And I remember Tim Robbins saying, I had friends here from the drama schools, and they said that you 12-year-olds are performing just as maturely as adults, and they were, stunned. And it's true because we were so uninhibited in that way.
Mm.
We were learning these methods that sort of are technical things, and in this the strength of our own emotions and our performances, and just we're also very unaware of
It's
how touchy.
uninhibited. I think it's been
Yeah,
uninhibited.
it's
You haven't had
uninhibited.
all those adult views forced upon you too much anyway.
Yeah, and what it needs to be, and this and that, and theory, and da da da.
Mm.
So it's definitely that. I have to say, Marking Time, which was the ABC. Oh, sorry, you asked me about theatre.
It doesn't matter.
Um,
Any production, theatre, TV, whatever, it doesn't matter.
I have to say, I did love working on El Dorado with Benedict Andrews, even though so few people saw that. It was such an amazing production. Um, yeah, I mean, and and to be honest, the Blind Date project, which is something that I've done, I think 150 performances of, which we created with the theatre company that, and we'll get to this in a second. I've loved that too because we've traveled the world with that, and I think it's now someone wants to do it in Copenhagen and someone wants to do it here and there and the other. So that's really good. I really enjoyed sort of doing the things that we created
So who did you do
in
that with?
yeah. So we did that with Right On Theatre. So Right On Theatre was a company that I formed with Tanya Goldberg, who I went to NIDA with. Because when we came out of NIDA, we decided we need to make our own work because we can't keep complaining about what the theatre companies are putting on and the lack of women well, also just the lack of women in administrative roles and decision-making roles at that time. I mean, that was, that was quite an intense problem at the time that we came out. I think Robin Nevin had just left Sydney Theatre Company, and that was like the only space where there was a woman making decisions.
Yeah.
So we created a theatre company, and I think this goes to your question about advice. I hate giving advice, but I can only go off what worked for me, which was create the work you want to see. Because I think there is this idea particularly for actors, because we rely so heavily on other people. So we rely heavily on a good script writer because you need a good script to show a good performance. Then you rely on a good director to kind of get that out of you, And if there isn't, then you kind of have to do it yourself. And so and then we rely on, a director and a producer to give us the job, to see something in us that's right for this job. And so I think Tanya and I were just very aware of, hang on, these people were also once in our place. And these people didn't sit and wait for someone to give them a job. They were like, well, I'm going to give myself this job. And that's exactly how it works. There's no hierarchy or authority there. It's just fact. And I think growing up, I didn't quite understand that, oh, I have permission to give people jobs or create jobs for people or create jobs for myself. Like that no one's going to give you that permission ever. And so we created this theatre company. And while I was working, with the ABC, let's say on Marking Time, or doing films, or working with Bell Shakespeare or Sydney Theatre Company or whoever it was, we would always, I think we did we did 13 productions in 5 years, because whenever we weren't working or didn't have work, we would bring out that play that we read that we loved, and then we would fight to get the rights for it, or we would create something ourselves. And I remember I translated and adapted a few Serbian works as well. And directed them myself as well. And so so the Blind Date project is one of the things that
How did you fund those?
so we did flea market fundraisers, and we would ask people for money. I think we would ask family and friends for money. We would do this. And remember again, this is before the internet.
Yeah, of course.
I think we just had mobile phones. So then we would do fundraisers, we would do cabaret nights. We would call all our friends who, know how to sing or do comedy or do something, and we would put them together for a night, and we would charge an admission fee, and, and then that's how we would fundraise. And then they would all be split profit share. So basically no one gets paid until the end. We divide the profits evenly between the lead actor and the person, doing lights and sound, or the stage manager or whatever. This is how it worked. And that really set a very specific standard for me as well for the way that I work. And also gave me the freedom not to be so concerned about money, which is really interesting in the industry today, because so much of it is about your monetary and stuff like that. So kind of being able to divorce from that is really good.
Yeah, that's a time of enlightenment, really, isn't it? It's such a wonderful time of birth, really, of where you found what life was really all about, not just waiting for the phone to ring, but creating your own opportunities.
Yeah. Because I remember at the same time, Nash and Joel Edgerton were making short films. They were doing the same thing within the film context. I remember them doing that. I remember Nash even saying to me, I'm not going to wait around for someone to hire me. And we talked, we were just doing it in the theatre space because that was our passion.
You never cease to amaze me. So you've had lots of nominations and awards, AFI nominations, etc. awards. What do they mean to you?
Oh, awards are a double-edged sword. So on the one hand, they they do definitely make you feel like you're, a part of a family, like sort of acknowledged by your peers. And this is important.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, sometimes they're deeply political. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they're very much about who likes who best or whose name you recognize on the piece of paper, or which shows you've seen or which show had the best marketing so people heard about it and so they can vote for it. So it's it is very much a double-edged sword. And I remember being really upset once about not being nominated for something and everyone else on this production was. And I remember once being nominated for something and being like, are you kidding me? I didn't do anything in this film. And I thought that's I think when I weighed up those two, I realized how deeply political they are, because it was just so silly to nominate me for this very specific thing. I won't say what it is,
Mm-hmm.
that I was kind of embarrassed.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I was a bit embarrassed. And I mean, I was young. So now I'd be like, thank you for the nomination. I do deserve it indeed. Whether I said 3 lines or 300, I absolutely thank you. But at the end of the day, really, seriously, it's just a award.
Yeah, but I mean, let's face it, it is a recognition, whether it means anything or not. Artists, actors are fragile people. So to get
Yeah,
that
very much.
little bit of recognition, even if you don't go through to the actual award, must be do something for the soul.
Yeah,
Or
and it is that thing.
confidence.
I think you're right, and there is that fragility, and so you do feel that way. It's just also I think there's a double-edged sword in terms of, we kind of we act because of this sense of family, and you create this kind of sense of family. And then if you don't get nominated, then you're like, what happened? Like, don't they love me? So, but I do also think that when I was younger, I wouldn't even like, I don't even have my Australian Academy Award. Like, I gave it to my agent because I just was like, this is so silly. Why do people like all my medals? I think I have like 50 medals from gymnastics. I don't know what they are, and I look at people who have these medals proudly in their house and trophies, and I'm like, why didn't I do that? And I just think I was just brought up in a very different way, and the value of awards was sort of not, it just wasn't something that I was taught was that important. And while I would kind of love that award to sit on my shelf, it's just not there now. I don't know what she's done with it.
Yeah. So I just watched over the holidays Love Me.
Oh, yes.
After seeing you on so many air bridges, lying in bed with this guy. Every time I'd go onto a plane on the air bridge and there's Bojana, I go, oh no. So I had to watch it.
Yeah, good.
And I thought you were fantastic, of course, but of course I'm very widely biased. Um,
Thank you.
so you've what drew you to a project, or what drew not necessarily to that, but to any other project? Do you have to just take everything because you got to put the breakfast on the table, or are you able to say, no, that's not me. I don't believe in that, or
Yeah, I think, I think I'm somewhere in the middle. So I really, it's not like I'm not in a position in my career where I can just choose any job and, and I'll get it.
mm,
Um, but I'm also not in a position where I have to take
anything?
anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I am picky, sometimes to my detriment, because sometimes I can't recognize actually that something is really good because maybe my focus is on, I don't know, organizing a protest in Serbia and I'm just not concerned. And this has definitely cost me. But I think I really like to do things that, number one, I don't think I can do. So I always really like this idea of,
Challenge yourself.
well, this is just too much, too hard. I mean, this was what happened with Macbeth last year at Malthouse. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to do it, and it was a couple of my agents and the director that convinced me that I can. And I thought, okay, I still don't think I can, but I will. Because then, if they believe it, then you can kind of try to see yourself through their eyes and then go start on that basis. So I do like to do things that scare me, because I think it's really important to keep exercising that muscle, so that you're not sort of resting on your laurels. But at the same time, I do need to make money to live in today's world, right?
Yeah,
So, or
will do.
to yeah. And so there are definitely, Love Me is definitely not one of those jobs that I took because I need the money. It's a job that I really, really wanted to do. At the same time, yeah, I'm totally willing to do some trashy American television in order to, gather up a bunch of money so that then I can do other
Mm,
things
mm,
like a play at Malthouse and not worry about,
mm.
about.
And you got wonderful reviews, that I heard.
I got wonderful and scathing reviews, which is
Oh, well, that's always the case anyway.
literally, I'm the best thing that walks and I'm the worst actress ever.
Yeah.
And so I was incredibly, I was very content with that.
Right. Well, I only heard the good ones on ABC, so there we go. Okay, so you you're doing a lot of producing, and you're in Serbia at the moment. So, are you working on some sort of production in Serbia? You have I think you said you had a company there that you have started. Is that right?
No,
No,
Maxine. I started a movement
a
against
movement.
Rio Tinto's lithium mine in Serbia.
Say it again. A movement against. It just cut out.
Against Rio Tinto's lithium mine in Serbia. So if
Okay.
you have shares in Rio Tinto, take them out right now because that company's going down.
I'll have to look at my superannuation. I don't know.
Yeah, look at it. Oh no, well, actually, a lot of the pension funds have, well, I guess super's not pension, but uh, they actually withdrew. A lot of the Australian pension funds withdrew their shares from Rio after the collapse of the cave in 2020.
Mhm.
So what I'm doing here is in 2021, I started, well, myself and Serbian friends, we started a movement against the mining of lithium and boron on the territory of Serbia because it's on fertile land, so it's on farmland. So it's a
Mhm.
movement to protect farmland and rivers that would be completely damaged. And these are populated areas, where people live, cultivate crops and feed trees.
Mhm.
I don't want that into so that people fancy electric cars in Germany. So we started this movement and it's become the biggest environmental movement in Europe. And yeah,
You are
it's
remarkable.
it's epic. So so while I was doing Love Me, I was doing this as well. I mean, it's been 4 years. Now, I won't bore you with where it's at and stuff like that, but we're incredibly successful. Like Serbia sort of rose up, hundreds of thousands of people on the streets, 50 cities across Serbia, against these projects and things like this. And it's been a really interesting opportunity to sort of teach people about climate change, because while climate change is an epic, disastrous problem, it can't be fixed by more environmental damage.
Mm.
And there is this sort of business as usual agenda between mining companies and car manufacturers and military weapons makers that's kind of like they're immune to their carbon offsets, as long as they use these really fancy words like green economy and green energy and green mining and clean mining, then all of a sudden they're sort of immune to the amount of environmental damage that they're going to cause. And really the huge part of is that this problem's not going to be fixed with business as usual. It's going to be fixed with really big changes in paradigm of how we use energy, other, and how much energy usage we allow, and for what, and at the expense of whom. And so this movement has kind of reverberated in Serbia and in Europe. It's really, I mean, there's
What's it called
friends
again?
going to Brussels tomorrow. What?
What's it called again? What's the
Oh,
movement?
there's no name to the movement.
Okay, it's
Our
just
group, because it involves, but our group is called March sa Drine, which basically means get off the Drina. The Drina is the biggest river that would be affected by the mine. And so I won't bore you with the cultural significance of the title, but of the movement. But yeah, it basically really translates to get the out right river.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
march is like a word that's like get off, but it's like a very word. So yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But we started
So
an
really,
association for
what
mental
you're doing
protection.
now, what you started
Yeah, yeah, it is.
only on
I
a
actually have a
bigger scale.
tape that I need to digitize. I have a tape here. I'm taking it to LA with me that I need to of the protests. Once I digitize it, I'll send you the footage.
Yeah.
I've got the news reels that were the news reports of the protest on this tape. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
speechless. You are just amazing.
No, it's not me. It's all of us. It's a group thing.
Okay. So, tell me about Valentina. What's she doing? So, Valentina was your younger sister who
Yes.
learned ballet,
Yeah.
and she's also a graduate of the college and an actor. So, what's she up to at the moment? She in
She's producing. She's in England. She's in England and she's producing and she's amazing. And she's my BFF. Like we're such BFFs. It's crazy. She's
I was
10
going
years.
to say, do you help each other when you do productions and things? Can you
We
sort
talk, we give each other advice. She's really getting into producing now. So she was just producing with someone and that's what she's doing. So, and she's just produced, I think, 4 or 5 short films in 1 year, plus worked on 2 bigger productions. And a lot of these films are in festivals. So she's sort of doing that.
of?
And yeah, and then we sort of give each other advice when we need it. And we're just there to listen when we don't. The two of us are really big advice givers, so we have to really be quiet and listen when someone doesn't just wants to vent.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Remarkable. So she's not is she married or anything or
She's married.
she's married, right?
Yeah,
Ah,
I know.
dear.
I know, it's amazing.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Well,
She's all grown up.
yes. Well, I think she and Tamara are on social media. I don't think they had that much contact, but Tamara's in London too, so
Oh, really?
they do have some sort of
Oh,
contact
nice.
with each other.
Oh,
Yes.
that's nice. That's nice. Novelle's got like a private social account, I think, which is
Okay, right.
very wise.
Yes. 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 Very wise. I don't add anything to mine at all. Okay, so it's 40 years on now. McDonald College has hit the big 40.
So
Um,
how old were you then when I came? Not you, your age, but how old was the school when I was there? It wasn't that old.
Started in 1984. So if you graduated in 98 and
Like
you
15
came to
years.
us about 6 and 8 years earlier, so 1990. So Valentina wasn't even born then.
She was born in October. No, no, no. She was born. I
In
didn't come in 1990. I came in 1991 or two. She was born in 1990 and I was still at the other school. I was year 4. So I came to you in year 5. So
yeah,
yeah, because I remember the day that she was born, me running through the
yeah, yeah,
school.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So, you know, it's obviously, I mean, it's a long, long time ago. I'm like to think that we did have some sort of, job in shaping who you are. But what sort of advice? I know you said earlier you don't want to give advice, but what would you say to the young kids coming through?
Oh, just make like I I would I would just say use all of the school's resources. That's what they're there for, right? This is so important. That's what they're there for. Like sponge, like just be a sponge and just use all of the resources that are there. Create your own productions. Find your clan of friends, that you can create with. Whether it's like Felicity and myself with English essays and raps, of Hamlet quotes so that you can remember them in the exam, or if it's creating your own theatre, or doing scene work or creating a little ballet thing. This is the other thing that I remember. Some of the HSC students used me for their dancing
Oh,
because
really?
yeah,
Yeah.
like Jessica, she used me. Yeah, she used me for her dance because she was like, I don't want someone with perfect technique. I want someone that's an actor but can do many things. And, so like this kind of cross pollination of streams and the ability
Yes.
to, create work. Um, yeah, I think that that would be the biggest thing in terms of school. And then also just create the work that you want to see. Don't wait for someone else to create it. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a
And I think
huge part.
create the person too, because in creating your work, you're also helping develop who you are. So you
100%.
use your creativity to, yeah, to share. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Well, and just to finish off, how are you, mum and dad?
They're so good.
Yeah,
They're still at the same house. The
really.
back still doesn't close properly. It's just if you ever want to, if you ever need to rob a house, the back door is wide open. Um,
I remember you
the
putting together our school magazine there for a few years too.
oh bless. Didn't my aunt also like sew uniforms?
The other,
Yes.
really,
Philip, yes. My cousin Philip, I remember this. They came as refugees
right.
during the NATO bombing, and they were trying to get refugee status, and the government wouldn't grant it to Serbians, which is unbelievable. And they came, and Philip came. I remember he had a really severe tic from trauma, like he couldn't stop blinking. And I remember he was at the school with Val. He was a couple of years ahead of her, and because you guys kind of were okay with this.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so my aunt, she, because my grandfather was a tailor, so he taught my aunt to sew, and she sewed all these
Oh,
costumes
wow.
for ballet. Yeah, and then they gave her the wrong measurements, and everyone was in a panic. She was just telling me the story the other day. Do you know how often we talk about things like anecdotes from the school? You
Really?
know, yeah, these are things that like make up conversations in our family. My aunt telling me about how she sewed uniforms for the ballet stream, and then my mum saying, "Oh, remember when Maxine Kolar said this and this," and no, really, or when Tim Robbins said this and this, and it just, I mean, it wasn't just part of the formative years, for me. It's like an intrinsic part of who I am. And
Which
I'll
is
always
beautiful.
have time to talk about it.
Yeah. You're
And
wonderful.
do you know what I think is actually really important for me to say? I just need to say this before I go. When I was at the school, because I'm naturally anti-authority, I was always criticizing, like, oh, uniform this, and criticize an assembly this, and we've got to sit like this, and we've got to. And so I don't want to take away from anyone's experience who's thinking, oh, this is too much, or there's too much, this is rigid, or because these are really valid feelings to have while at school. And I don't want to romanticize that it wasn't like that either. There was definitely a strictness to it. Um, and I feel like it's a necessary part of, schooling, so that you kind of also live a microcosm of the society that you're about to head out into.
And you're at that time of your life where you want to just anti-establishment, basically, no matter what it is. It's
Still
just
am.
part of. Well, you haven't grown up yet. You will.
Maybe my next life. But yes, and I think now when I look back on it, it's like that actually formed part of my relationship with that, and how to navigate that establishment stuff. But yes, I think you're definitely in that time of your life where like everything, you're anti everything. I mean, you're anti your mum and your dad. I mean,
It's
it's
just part of growing up.
yeah, it's part of growing up. So I do want to reflect on that. Like I definitely had that angst while I was there. It's not like every day I was like, oh, I'm so happy to be at school. And also I had my own angst, my own, like I had a raging eating disorder, I think, while I was at school, and just my own angst,
I didn't know.
that no one, well, no one knows. Well, why would anyone know about that? And because that was a big secret, because also I don't want anyone to know that I have an eating disorder, because I was so cool and so
Mm,
free. I don't want anyone to think I have like a bimbo problem, or that I think about how I look or my weight,
mm,
but these are the kind of things um, again, these are definitely, unfortunately, experiences, teenage, like of, teenagehood and later. And, um, but I think that if you did know, or if the school did know, there would actually be a really supportive approach to it. I don't think, I just didn't share it because I thought it was terrible and I was the only person in the world who had it, until you start to share it later on and go, oh my God, this is actually a pandemic. There's like all of us.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so happy to talk to you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.